And I'm the founder of Women in Blockchain Canada. I'm very excited to be here with all of you, and I'm joined by my business partner, Justin Goldston.
Hello.
He's letting me take over the show, obviously. Why are we here today? Well, we're here today to give you an overview of the Polkadot ecosystem, as well as to give you the use case of DeFi in that ecosystem and other use cases within that system, and also to talk about why it's different from the current blockchains that exist already. So with that being said, let's get started. So I just gave you an overview of who we are, and this is how you can reach us. And this is our beautiful photos and our bios, which I think I'll let Justin speak to what he's been doing in this space a little bit.
So some of you were in my previous discussion. So I always say that in the Web 2 world, I'm a professor at Penn State University, as well as an advisory board member at Georgetown University and USC. In the Web 3 world, I am the co-founder with my partner from MIT in Syntech DAO, where we're looking to reinvent higher education the Web 3 way. So if you want to learn more about that, you can type in sydtek.ai, Syntech DAO, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter.
And I myself have founded Women Blockchain Canada in 2019, and I've worked with accelerators in Canada and Ottawa and Montreal to host events, doing education around blockchain, social impact, Bitcoin, and everything related to blockchain. So I'm very excited to be here and to have this discussion with you. None of the information we're going to provide is financial advice. Just had to give you that warning. And I know most of you here in the room are familiar with blockchain, but you never know. So I'm going to get started with how I see that concept and how I see the best way to describe it. So the way that I have to start with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the foundation for blockchain. So blockchain is an immutable ledger, as you may know. And why it's so special is because it's transparent, it's censorship resistant, and it allows for us to do things we've never been able to do in society before. And it all started with the Bitcoin blockchain. And since Bitcoin, we've also had Ethereum, which allows for decentralized applications. So what is a blockchain? Well, that immutable ledger, to explain that, let's say we're all sitting at a table and having drinks, and everybody's ordering drinks, but all of us are writing that information down. So at the end of the night, if the waiter comes down and says, well, you had like 5 martinis, but you actually just had 4, everybody at the table could say that you only had 4. And so that's the beauty of it. You have several people at the table saying the same thing as you, and you have different people validating that truth. So blockchain allows us to give trust without having a trust in a third party and trusting in code. And that's really the crux of what Bitcoin is. And then the way Bitcoin was built was with the specific block size. And so here as we know, one of the biggest problems in the industry is scaling. So Ethereum was also founded, and Ethereum relies and creates a different ecosystem. So in Ethereum, you can create decentralized applications. But the problem with Ethereum is that now it's very expensive to use. So some of the users cannot use Ethereum because maybe the gas fees are too high for them. So you have a great system that's very secure, but now with the problem of scaling, it allows for, well, actually doesn't allow for so many participants. So the problems that blockchain was aimed to solve in the financial crisis, now we're having other issues that have come up. That's why we are here to discuss why Polkadot is different.
So on this next slide here, we first have to start where Polkadot and Kusama is a layer 0, right? So we say layer 0s, and we also can include Cosmos as well as Avalanche within those protocols that are referred to as layer 0s, in that they are creating a blockchain of blockchain. You can also say that Polkadot as well as Cosmos could be referred to as the internet of blockchains, right? We're going to go into that in more detail. I don't want to steal Justina's thunder, so we're just going to say that we're going to talk about Polkadot and Kusama, and they are going to be layer 0 protocols. Okay. Also, Avalanche as well as Cosmos fall into that as well. And layer 1, we also refer to as Bitcoin. So everybody's familiar with Bitcoin, everyone is familiar with Ethereum. Okay. Now you also have Akala, which is going to be another use case we're going to discuss today, as well as Karura. So Akala is on the Polkadot blockchain. Karura is on the Kusama blockchain. We're going to see that Kusama is what we refer to as a canary network, right? Some people refer to that as a live testnet. We call it a live testnet because that testnet has value. Okay, a lot of people were upset a couple years ago because they were giving away a lot of tokens because they thought it was a true testnet, where in the case that token went to $600. Right? So it is a live testnet, is a canary network. We're going to go to that in more detail shortly. So that's a layer 1. In layer 2, to essentially fight the issue with scaling, you will have different blockchains. You'll have layer 2 solutions, such as Polygon. You're going to have Optimism. So, also, if you have interacted with any kind of bridges or interacted with Ethereum and paid gas fees, I would go to Optimism.io because there was an airdrop last week. A lot of people received a lot of money in terms of this Optimism airdrop, so I would say go to Optimism.io to see if you got some of those airdrop tokens. That airdrop was just as big, just as good as Uniswap in my opinion. So I would check. Yeah. So then you also have Immutable X. So Immutable X kind of solves the issue with scaling in terms of NFTs. Immutable X had just an amazing deployment on Illuvium just past week. So Illuvium is a AAA game that just did a land sale of I think 20,000 lands in a reverse Dutch auction, and it went absolutely flawless. I have been participating in a number of NFT drops over the last couple of years. It's the most flawless airdrop, the most flawless Dutch auction I've experienced. I was a part of the other side mint. Absolutely terrible, paid $6,000 in gas fees, just saying. It was an absolute nightmare. But, so Immutable X, layer 2, it solves the scalability issue in terms of NFTs. Once you go to layer 3s, you're going to talk about anything. You're going to talk about things such as APIs. You're going to talk about these decentralized exchanges. So you'll have Uniswap, you'll have the SushiSwap, you'll have MakerDAO, where you're going to be performing these exchanges, these decentralized exchanges, and then you'll have layer 4 where you're going to take these swaps that you will have. So MetaMask will look at Uniswap, it will look at SushiSwap, it will look at these other DEXs to essentially aggregate these swaps and give you the best price, and then that's where you're going to see those layer 4s. You also see that with OpenSea. So that is the Web3 tech stack, and you can see that what we're going to discuss today is we're going to have layer 0 with Kusama and Polkadot.
Exactly. So back to Justin, what Justin was saying. Essentially, when Bitcoin and Ethereum were designed, those were the first blockchains. So the way that they were designed as proof of work systems, they didn't take into account how big they were going to grow and how they were going to scale. So with Polkadot, and since Gavin Wood was the co-founder of Ethereum, he thought about this. So when Polkadot was designed, it was already thought about how are we going to scale. So that's a big factor to consider here, because when the other systems were designed, that wasn't in the thought process. So now what you have is a system which was designed with thinking about interoperability, with thinking about scaling. So what problems are we solving? Well, we're solving two very big problems in the industry. One is that interoperability. How can blockchains talk to each other? Can Bitcoin talk to Ethereum? Well, as it stands right now, that's very difficult. It's not easy. If you want to send your Bitcoin to Ethereum, how are you going to do that? Now, it's possible using bridges. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is possible. But we have to look at, if Bitcoin was the money for the internet, what are we having as the internet for blockchains? And that's really what Polkadot is the internet for blockchains. So now you're going to have a place where you're interoperable. You want to have Bitcoin on Polkadot? Yes, you can. You want to have Ethereum on Polkadot? Yes, you can. You want to take your decentralized applications from Ethereum and put them on Polkadot? Yes, you can do that. And then we're going to look at the tokenomics, the mechanism behind this, and how it all works. So I'm very excited to be here to have this conversation with you. So what is Kusama? As Justin was describing earlier, Akala also has a sister network called Karura. Well, currently the thing is, whenever you wanted to have a big change happening on Bitcoin or Ethereum, you would have to fork them. Because if the people didn't agree, you would have to basically copy the entire code and create a new blockchain with the different set of rules that you wanted. So it's missing a governance component. Where in Polkadot, it was already thought about. So the way that it was designed, like Justin was saying, what's a layer 0 versus a layer 1? Well, you have the layer 0, which guarantees you the security that you want on-chain, and then what happens is Polkadot allows you to have parachains. And those parachains end up competing for spots. So how many people are willing to lock up their money to have a spot, to have the security administered? So that's the whole point of having parachains on the blockchain. So it's like you have the layer 0 validating information, and then you have the layer 1s. All those projects on Polkadot are actually layer 1 solutions that you can build on, you can build tokens on. And we're going to go into the use cases of that and why it's important and how you can use it. And why also having, for me, access is really important. Because we're going to go into people unbanked in the world and having the access to that and having really low transaction fees, but also how do you incentivize people to be honest and transparent and validate things and not cheat? So I'm very enthusiastic about this because I love solving problems, and this system is solving a lot of problems we have within the industry.
It sounds like Polkadot Maxes, but we're really not. We're just talking about a use case, but we're very excited about these solutions. So what happens within Polkadot is the layer 0 is essentially this what we refer to as a relay chain, right? The relay chain, and one thing, if we go back to the foundations of blockchain, the larger the blockchain becomes, the more secure it becomes. And that is one of the benefits to Polkadot, in that they are creating this layer 0. So essentially, they are creating literally, so back when Dr. Gavin Wood, I should say, initially wrote the white paper, they said essentially we're going to have 100 slots. So each one of these parachains are slots. So essentially, they were going to have 100 slots on Polkadot and 100 slots on Kusama. But they then, since then, introduced what they refer to as parathreads, right? So parathreads will essentially create thousands of additional slots within this relay chain, right? So not only can we have the security of 100 different blockchains on this relay chain, but now we have the security of thousands of different blockchains. So think of thousands, we have the security of thousands of different companies. Each parachain is a different company, a different project. Think of it that way, right? So now that we're having validators for each company, right? We're having collators for each company, right? The more people that are participating in this network, in this ecosystem, the more secure it becomes. So that's why a lot of these layer 2s are going onto the Ethereum network. Although the gas fees are expensive and everybody talks about the gas fees, they go back to Ethereum, right? Because it's been tested. It's been what we refer to as battle tested, right? It has a security. So that's why people go to the Ethereum network, although it's higher gas fees, right? It's the same thing with Polkadot. Once, in my opinion, these are my thoughts, these are my views, once the institutions, once the organizations come into the blockchain, they're going to test out their use cases on Kusama to have that security, and then they're going to go to Polkadot. So just as I talked about in my other presentation, where with the metaverses, we're going to have different metaverses for different people. You're going to have a Facebook of metaverses. You're going to have a LinkedIn of metaverses. You're going to have a corporate entity or a corporate blockchain where all these organizations go. And that's another use case for the difference of Polkadot versus Kusama. Kusama is where we're going to be tested. We're going to try to break the system, right? So Kusama's example was expect chaos. We're trying to break Kusama, right? Once we've tested out all of those use cases, once we've tested out all of these DeFi, use cases and protocols, then we go to Polkadot. It's more secure, right? So that's why we feel that that's where all the institutions and organizations are going to go, all right? So now, in addition to the relay chain at layer 0, we're going to be building on all of these parachains. Each one of those parachains is an organization. An organization can also be a parathread, right? So we also, in addition to that, we have bridges where you can bridge, so we can bridge Solana, which is the bottom. You can bridge Polkadot, or you can bridge Bitcoin. You can also bridge Ethereum. Going to the bottom, you also have Avalanche, you can also have Nibiru. So this is what we're saying. This is a blockchain of blockchains. This is where we're going to be creating interoperability across all blockchains. That's why we say we're not really Polkadot maxis, because we need to understand these other blockchains, because we're going to talk to these other blockchains. We're going to integrate with these other blockchains. We're going to be transferring assets to these different blockchains. So that's why we're super excited about Polkadot. All right, here we go. So these are some of the projects within the Polkadot ecosystem. So for some of you that's familiar with blockchain, some of you are familiar with Web3, you can see that projects such as Ocean. Ocean has its own protocol, but it's up here because Ocean protocol is integrating within the Polkadot ecosystem, right? You can also see Chainlink, one of my favorites. Chainlink is its own protocol, but it's integrating within the Polkadot ecosystem. But then you also have some standalone substrate-based projects such as Akala, which we're going to talk about, such as Moonbeam. We're going to be with Moonbeam at Consensus this week. Fallen Network's going to be at Consensus this week. So you have organizations that are existing on other blockchains such as Ethereum that's integrating with Polkadot, but then you also have standalone projects such as Akala, and then you have Moonbeam that creates that Ethereum virtual machine on Polkadot, very popular, that's in within that Polkadot ecosystem. You also have wallets like Math Wallet that also integrates with their protocol. But then you have Polka Wallet that is a Polkadot native wallet. And then you have tooling that's going to integrate from blockchain to blockchain. And then you have infrastructure such as Anchor. If you know, Anchor was part of the little terror debacle that we experienced last month. So. Are you up next? Are you gonna give me a break?
So just to add to Justin was saying, one of the most important things behind the ecosystems is smart contracts. I mean, I really can't forget that, and it's something I think Polkadot ecosystem puts at the forefront of what they're doing. For many of you, as you may know, some people think the first smart contract is like a Bitcoin transaction. So it's just A sends money to B, and it's recorded on the blockchain, it's validated, and it's a set of business rules that's applied for something to occur. That's what a smart contract is. It's essentially like written in code, a contract. It's not exactly like a legal contract, but you can have a legal contract executed through a smart contract. But I think what's important here is to understand that we also have Chainlink, a company that allows real-world data to interact with blockchains. So if we're going to be talking about the internet for blockchains, we can't forget to talk about, well, how does real-world data interact with the blockchain? How can you put real-world data on the blockchain? So essentially, and how can you have decentralized data put on the blockchain? So let's say, to give an example, you have $10 worth of Ethereum you want to send to your friend, but the thing is, the Ethereum price may change. So you can program a smart contract to say that between whenever you send it and the time the person receives it, you still want it to be $10. So how do you know what amount of Ethereum at the time you're sending it is there? Because the purpose and the design of, for example, Ethereum wasn't to have that information. So Chainlink solves that problem, and not only does it do that, it also takes the data from decentralized sources and has it validated before it's put onto the blockchain. So the whole point of blockchain is decentralization, so it's also decentralized aggregation of data in the real world and being put on the blockchain. So the point of oracles is to have, for example, information from various data sources where the Ethereum price is, so it's not you just getting the price from one place. You may have 10 exchanges and they can have 10 different prices, and then that data is aggregated and then it's validated by Chainlink and then it's put on chain. So Chainlink operates with Ethereum right now, and as Justin said, they will be integrating with Polkadot, and it's just amazing to see how all this ecosystem works together. That's what I think it really comes down to. So I'll let Justin go and explain a little bit of the Kusama parachains.
So if you go into the ecosystem, you can see where a number of those projects that we've seen on the previous slide have already been within the Kusama ecosystem. So because it's a layer 0, because Kusama is a layer 0, you'll have all the layer 1, so you have state minus layer 1 as its own blockchain essentially, right? You also have Bifrost. You have BitCountry. We work with Ray Lou within BitCountry. Shout out to Ray if you're watching this. So you have Crust Network, and then you also have Karura, which we're going to talk about. So you have all of these layer 1s. Again, all projects, all organizations, all have their own blockchain. Okay. So you have that within the Kusama network. Then next slide, you also have that within the Polkadot network. So you had Karura on the Kusama network, but the same exact project has a Kala within the Polkadot ecosystem. So a lot of people within the Polkadot ecosystem have argued and said, okay, how are you going to have the same organization still provide the same level of support for one organization on Kusama than you do on Polkadot, right? But you're going to each organization, each community, if you will have its own need, its own use case, right? So some people, and so again, going back to Karura, some people will need some leniency when it comes to DeFi, right? So they're going to stay within the Kusama blockchain and stay with Karura for a column, right? So, but those institutional organizations that require AML, that require KYC, they're going to go on Polkadot, and they're going to operate within the Akala network, right? So you have certain people and certain use cases of why you're going to stay on Polkadot versus Kusama. So, but we just wanted to show you where you're going to have the layer 0 of Polkadot and Kusama, but then you're going to have the layer 1s and different blockchains within that network.
Yeah. So I'm just going to do, actually I'm going to go back a slide. I just want to say, so as you can see also here, Moonbeam, that parachain allows for decentralized applications off of Ethereum to migrate onto the Polkadot ecosystem. So there's different companies doing different things, and basically they're layer 1s on the Polkadot ecosystem with different use cases for why they're there. So I'm going to go into CeFi versus DeFi. So currently, centralized finance is the current system that most people are using in the world, where they go to a bank, and it's usually a national bank, and it's very regulated. And basically, the bank holds the money for you. Whereas in decentralized finance, you're actually taking real world assets and putting them on the blockchain. And depending on the kind of decentralized finance layer you're using, it can be either pegged one-to-one to the dollar, it could be a leverage loan, or it could be algorithmic. So we're going to get more into that. And there's also, as you can see here, there's Oracle Chainlink data. So what Chainlink does, which is the real world information of the price level at the time you're dealing with the currency. There's platforms in DeFi that allow for lending, borrowing, like Justin was saying, when you're exchanging money, automated market makers. And then of course, the wallet layer, you hosting money on a wallet that's connected to your, well, it's an online wallet that's connected to your browser. So we're gonna get into what is traditional finance, and like, so everybody who deals with traditional finance has to KYC, they have to comply to regulations, the bank holds your money, it's not private, all of your, like, unless you're taking cash out and you're going to spend it, the money that's in your bank account, every transaction is tracked, and the bank can freeze your funds if at any time they need to or they want to. So, and it's also prone to censorship by the regulator or the bank itself. So essentially, they're the custodian of your funds, and you're not really in the custody of your funds, versus in decentralized finance, you have the custody over your money. So let's look at some current statistics on the people who are unbanked in the world. There's currently 1.7 billion adults that lack an account. China has the world's largest unbanked population, followed by India, Pakistan, and Indonesia. And also, women are overrepresented among the world's unbanked. 980 million do not have an account, and that accounts for 50% of all unbanked adults globally. And here you can see a heat map